Hello everyone, today I'm going to be taking a look at the new faction starter for the ODST for Halo Flashpoint by Mantic Games. This is the Feet First into Hell box. So, what do you get in this magnificent beast? First off, we have a lovely bit of cover art of some ODST about to be killed by God knows what. I flip it over. Our contents. We have Desperate Measures, which is the War Games booklet, if you will. We have all our cards, duplicated, red team, blue team. Tokens and paraphernalia you need, along with a limited edition Buck and Dare miniature. So, a one-stop shop, including the board and the terrain, which are themed for the ODST. They're orbital drop shock troops. Cracking the box open and throwing that to that side, we are assaulted with paper and card. Take a look at these in a bit more detail in a moment, but we have our token sheet. It contains all your weapons drops and new equipment, along with the activation tokens and flame tokens for people being incinerated by a flamethrower, which is delightful. We have Desperate Measures. This is the little pamphlet that explains how the ODST work within Halo Flashpoint, and a bit of their background as well, why they hate the Spartans, why they're better than the Spartans. We have a double-sided build guide for Gunnery Sergeant Edward Buck and Captain Veronica Dare, for there are two resin miniatures, Mantic's mastercrafted resin, which require assembly. We have the assembly instructions for the card terrain, double-sided. We have the card itself. So, where are we? We have got 2, 4, 6 sheets of card, 2mm, 3mm thick card, and double-sided, so there's actually 2 different ways you can assemble it, meaning that you've got options for your color schemes, offering you a bit of variety in your builds. Remember, reach, lest we forget. We'll see what that looks like assembled in a little moment. We have our board itself, and then we have an empty tray that will take all of the card components once you've assembled them. And then at the bottom we have our ODST troops themselves. Okay, so in our tray we have 2 teams, so we have essentially duplicate sculpts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different poses and weapon loadouts. Red team, blue team. And then we have a little set of baggies containing our mastercrafted resin. The 2 sets of cards, so weapon and equipment cards, and then the actual gameplay cards for your ODST troopers. And we also get a set of themed dice, so D8 for the game runs off D8 in a nice military green. And then alongside that we have our command dice, again color coded for the ODST. Right, let's take a closer look at some of these figures. We're going to start with the mastercrafted resin. As far as build goes, it's relatively simple for both. We have a resin figure, one-piece torso, head and legs, 2 separate arms, and a separate base. There are sprue gates, as you can see on the base of this. They will need to be clipped or shaved off with a knife. Also sprue gates on the arms. Because these are resin, you'll require a super glue, cyanoacrylic, if that means more to you. But otherwise it is just a case of removing the sprues and then gluing the pieces together. And we have the same for our other limited edition figure. So what I'm going to do is get those built, and we'll take a look at those along with their stat cards, and then the rest of the tray of ODST troops, and take a look at the buildings built as well in just a moment. All right then folks, everything is built. So let's take a closer look at exactly what you get with the ODST Feet First into Hell box. The biggest thing is the lovely board. So this is hardboard or cardboard, vinyl, linen faced backing on it, and then a high detail print. It is the 8x8, so your standard 3-inch cubes. So it's a 2 foot by 2 foot board. As you can see, there's a nice bit of detail on it. We have some lovely roadways, steps, that sort of thing, to go with the accompanying terrain. Speaking of the biggest piece, if I fold the board up, is this 2-part watchtower. It won't actually fit under my side camera, so I'll show you here. Has a covered section for observations, UNSC detailing there, and it is double-sided, so the black and red lighting here could be flipped around to be your internal base. Likewise, these pieces on top can also be flipped. They've got slightly more detail, not slightly more detail, but slightly different detail on one side as opposed to the other. So you could have your lights on all the way around the outside, or you can have them just below the tower or masked. So it's a nice bit of kit. That's 6 inches to the base level, so it's essentially 3 cubes high. And you can see the cubes on the inside are also marked if you're going to set it square onto the board. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to follow the cubes. You just have to define where the terrain is, so they could overlap at angles if you want. It's entirely up to you when you set your board up. It does make life easier if they do follow the lines, mind you, I will say that. So that's the big watchtower. After that, we have a variety of things. I'll start with the unique pieces. So we have a little bridge here. Simple construction, 3 sections in the middle on your 2 sides. Again, double-sided, so we have this set of steps up, set of steps down, and a little bit of rubble on the top. However, equally, it could be built with this or any options between there. So you could have the let up stairs with the gravelly top, or you can have the arrowed section. So options when you come to build is always nice. As far as figures go, you can see they sit on quite neatly. After the bridge, we have this single cube tall building. Entrance into it, 3 vision slits out, so like a bunker type of affair. And roof as well, like everything else, double-sided, so you can have a grey and red repeating section. In fact, if I pop off the front, you can see the alternative colour there in place of that. Then we have 2 large, sort of half a cube tall, 2 cubes wide. Some sort of massive planter. You get 2 of these. Again, double-sided. So we have similar but different tops. However, if you wanted to, you could just flip that and have two identical topped. And indeed, when it comes to the side sections as well, if you want to have them both the same or different, it's up to you. We have two smaller versions of the same. So you've got a bit more cover and height, which is what you want when you're trying to sneak around a board in Halo Flashpoint. Two sets of stairs, or steps. These were a little, I would say, fiddly. When you're looking at it, there is a cross section here, a piece to give it a bit of stability. They need to fit flush to the side of your steps. So the best way to do that is to put a step on top and then just squeeze in with your finger and thumb until it is flush fit, and then put the other steps on. You may find you have to slightly widen it just to get them to sync up or straighten up. But we have our black and gold, or our military sort of green grey. And again, you could do two sets of the same, or you can have both sets different. Entirely up to you. And because they are not glued together, you can always go back and play around with those. So you can change the look every time you play. We have four sets of signage, sort of street signs. Very simple line of sight blocking. One with a detour and one with a warning to people not to be in this zone. So you get two of each of them. And our final bit of kit, or big building, is this large barricade, high tower. I'm not sure what you would call it. Very narrow, so about an inch thick, probably slightly more because of the depth of the card. 6 inches tall, so another 2 cube in height. Just a big barrier, big blocking piece. Single-sided, so it does have the print on both sides, but it is identical on both sides. So it doesn't matter what way around you build it, you will end up with a steely-looking thing with red lights around the base. It makes me wonder what they use that for. It does have the UNSC marking on it. Maybe it's just some sort of large barrier wall. If you got a rake of them, you could divide out a section. Nice little light section on the top. And the most important thing is buttressing at the base to give you a bit more cover when you're sneaking in with your figures. So that's all of the card as far as board and pieces go. As far as gameplay goes, our little Desperate Measures book, if I pull it back out for a second, it is a mere 10 pages long, 11 if you count the cover. We do get our background, how to use it. This I will temporarily pause to tell you about this because it caused confusion with the Banished. This is not a starter set, it is a faction set. You need the core game to play. And as it says here, it uses the War Games expansion pack. And I've seen people saying, why do I need to buy another pack to use this box? You don't. War Games expansion is completely separate. You can just draft your figures into your warband, your squad, your unit, whatever you want to call it, like the core game says. So you pick one, your opponent picks one, you pick one, your opponent, back and forth until you've got your unit complete. If you want to list build, you can either get the points values from the little books that come in here and in the War Games expansion. It's a different way of playing. It goes into sort of min-maxing. You can calibrate your forces, work out the equipment you want to bring, work out the weapons, the loadouts, all of that. It's very exacting. You don't have to play the War Games expansion. You can just play this kit as is with the rules. So that's one thing to point out because people got very confused by that. The background for the ODST telling us they are elite humans who get annoyed by the Spartans. so much so that carries across in game. They have the potential to be mixed with Spartans. However, if you bring any Spartan who has the tactical keyword on their card, so any of your commanders, some of the actual rank and file Spartans have it as well. They're trained to a certain extent. You cannot bring an officer from the ODST if you bring a Spartan with tactician. Essentially, they come in, start stomping around and telling everybody what to do, which is nice thematically, but also nice that you can mix the various members of the ODST with your Spartan forces if you so desire. So we have the points values and standard weapon loadout for each of the figures in the box here. The new keyword, incendiary and fire, for the flamethrower. If we want to set people on fire, that's good fun. Special orders, there's a variety. Some are Spartan only, some are any UNSC fire team. Some are specific commanders only, so if you bring Dare, that's only available if she's on table. Likewise, if you bring the Master Chief, he gets his Army of One rule, but only him. And the ODST have their own hot drop special rule as well. Some new arena setups, some new scenario setups. So we have Assault, which is a curious little game, and we have Assault Elimination, which is a bigger version of it. Essentially, for Assault, you have to get your bomb into your opponent's deployment zone. And it's the same in both versions. You have to hold it in there for a number of turns. Every turn, or every time an opponent's model is activated and finishes its activation, you get one counter onto your bomb. When you get 3, it explodes and you score victory points. That could all happen in one turn if you manage to get in there and hold your opponent off from taking them out, or it might take several turns. With the big battle version, you get limited drops in equipment. You put them down at the start and they don't respawn. Likewise, your team does not respawn when they're dead. So it's a much more bloody affair, and will be particularly bad late game when the bomb goes off, it explodes whoever happens to be in that cube, including the person who's setting it off. So with Assault Elimination, you could find that being particularly disastrously explosive for everyone. And then there's also a Stronghold Elimination scenario. So all about taking and holding your opponent's stronghold and then reducing it to rubble again, which is generally the way things go with the ODST. They are fond of explosives. Some of them even get extra grenades. So those are our sort of rules behind them. Miniature-wise then, we have our ODST Second Lieutenant. These will all go up onto the app, possibly even by the time you see this. The app and companion may be updated for Halo. But if not, just to give you a quick rundown of what they're like. The Second Lieutenant, he's a scout and has Tactician 1. Comes with a MA 5K Avenger, so a weight of fire 3 carbine. Good range on it, and weight of fire 3 means it can reroll 3 die when it fires, which is great. Scout also means they can advance an additional cube at the start of the game. Our next drop trooper is our Special Purpose Trooper. So it's a scout with a M392 DMR, 6 ranged sniper rifle. It has lethal 1, so when it does do damage, it will do an additional, and optics, so it gains an extra die when it's firing at people, which is what you want to see. Then we have the first of 2 assault troops. This is the Air Assault Bullfrog, carrying the MA40 assault rifle, rapid fire 1, weight of fire 2, so it can suppress or it can use that weight of fire to try and do some additional damage. Also comes rocking a combat knife. Stat line wise, all of these guys have got armor of 1. None of them have energy shields, although you may wish to buy some equipment for your captains and lieutenants. The ODST Firebreak rocks the M90 shotgun and also has a demo charge for close combat, which is Delightful way of using a demo charge. So have a claymore in the face, mate. It strips people's shields off, has lethal 1, but it's only 1 use. But say la vie, when you're in there, you may as well go for it. Or ODST captain. So we've got 2 captains and the lieutenant in here. This one's got tactician 2. Again, just using the fists for close combat, but has the M6C SOCOM pistol, which has got a range 4 and optics on it. So it's a relatively reliable piece of kit, although you may want to buff him somewhat on that one. There's plenty of other weaponry out there. The Special Purpose Trooper also has Scout, and with it a BR-55 battle rifle with optics and weight of fire 1 and a range of 5 and AP 1. So a second sniper type drop troop. Our second bullfrog is the Air Assault, who has acrobatic with his jump pack. Now, the acrobatic keyword means any mission where you're attempting to kill for victory points. They are spectacular in doing so and will gain an additional VP to any model they take out. So games of Slayer or Oddball, things like that. They're particularly good at that if you can get it to them. It's got a ranged 4 M7S SMG with weight of fire 2 and optics. So a lot of optics about, meaning you're going to be working off a base 4 die for most of these shoot actions, which is always good. And then the last of our ODST plastics, sort of standard troops, is the Firebreak. Comes rocking the M7057 flamethrower. It has a 2 cube range. However, it is AP1. It has incendiary 5 and continuous fire and sticky. What does all of that mean? Well, it means you roll 5 die against a cube, not against an individual. You can re-roll 2 of those because of continuous fire, and that is how much flaming death has been sprayed over them. 5 checks, everybody gets a fire token who's been hit in that cube. So you can just hose down a whole area, and then in their own activation, if they've got a fire token, their choice is waste an action, putting themselves out, or accept the fact that the fire will go out at the end of your turn, but you take an additional wound. And if you're low on health, you might know you're going to die, but you may be in a scoring position, and that means that you just run screaming at the enemy while on fire, punching them to death, and then burn out like a cinder yourself. So that's our standard ODST troopers. There are 2 sets of those, identical figures in the box, but then we also have our 2 mastercrafted resin figures. So here they are assembled. Gunnery Sergeant Edward Buck. He comes with the MA5D assault rifle, ranged 5, weight of fire 1, and an M6H2 Magnum, range 3 with optics handgun. And he also comes with fast transition. How fast is his transition? Pretty fast. It means he can fire both of those guns in the same activation for the same shoot action. So he can literally go rifle into somebody and then magnum into somebody else, or give somebody the good news with both barrels, making him particularly aggressive. Combine that with a range attack value of 3+, means he's pretty much going to be hitting those all the time. He also has Scout and Tactician 1 behind him, so he's a fairly solid figure and really nicely sculpted as well. That mastercrafted resin is lovely. And then we have Captain Veronica Dare, Office of Naval Intelligence. She has Stealthy and Tactician. Stealthy means even when somebody gets a clear line of sight to her, they only get a single bonus die, not 2, for being out in the open. She also has the SOCOM pistol with optics. And a fairly, say, mediocre, fairly average stat line. Fight of 6+ isn't great, range of 4+ is slightly above average, save of 5+ not great. She's slightly less armoured than Buck is. However, she does have her own unique special order, which is your orders have changed. She doesn't have to be on the board, but you can only use this special order once per round. At the start of the round, after your command dice have been rolled and any rerolls have been performed, you can spend a special order to change 2 of your remaining command dice to any result you want. So, very, very strong command ability. If you get that special order up, you're guaranteed of having 2 of the dice that you want for whatever it is you happen to be doing that turn, which is absolutely fantastic and well worth the price of admission. She may not be the most aggressive attacking figure, but worth that command order by itself. The other command orders that are available then are supply drop, where you get to pick a piece of equipment or weapon. I'll double check actually if it is a piece of equipment or a weapon. An item, yeah. So one of your pieces of equipment from the supply drop, pick it and put it into a cube of your choice. It will cost you a special order to do that, but it does mean you can potentially seed the board in your favor with additional supply drops. And then likewise, another special order command is hot drop, leaning into the fact that they are drop troopers. Instead of coming on from a respawn point, your troopers can spend special orders to take an auxiliary action to deploy into any cube on the board instead. They have to make a check, and if they fail, they'll scatter. Because you come in on the top of the tallest thing in that cube, if you want to drop onto a height 3 building or piece of terrain and you scatter off, you may end up taking falling damage. But that's the risk you take for being in a more advantageous position. At the start of the first round, immediately after rolling your command dice, you can spend a special order to remove 1 deployed trooper from the board and then deploy it as described. So they can go anywhere, and you can do that with as many special orders as you have. And then you can see how Commander Dare can really change things up with her order. So if you have that single special, or maybe you've got a couple, you could burn 1 to get 2 more, and all of a sudden half of your ODST unit can redeploy into more aggressive positions across the table. So it's a fascinating setup for them. If you're playing the war games and you're using points values, they have a sort of a range from low 20s to 30-ish. So 29, 30 I think is the most sort of expensive for your regular troopers. Your lieutenants and captains are slightly more expensive than that, but not much. And when you compare that to the like of the Banished, the Elites, and your Spartans, they're much more cost effective, which is why there's the potential to play a lot more. In fact, if you take the box and 1 person takes Dare and 1 person takes Sergeant Buck, they're both coming in at around about 280 to 290 points. So bigger than your regular game, but you could play a big game, beef them up with extra equipment. There's new rules in there for support weapons on turrets where you get additional die if you're using a mounted weapon, essentially. So the ODST are elite but numerous, and with a apathy towards Spartans and having to share the field with the shiny new people who may not be as aggressive or as well versed in warfare as they are, but they get all the plaudits while the ODST do all the work. Hopefully that's given you a good idea of what you get in Feet First into Hell and kind of how they play. The figures themselves are fantastic. I really like the sculpted bases on these as well. I think the Spartans and the Banished were just flat, so there was no texture on these. These are all textured bases and look superb. If I had one minor issue, it is the 2 Mastercraft models, which are beautiful. They don't have a unique place to sit. They don't have a lovely little vacuum form in that tray. So they'll have to go into that. There's enough room in that little box to put them in, but you may want to put a little bit of foam or bubble wrap between them just to keep them nice and safe. But if that's the only criticism I have, then I think we're doing well. Let me know what you think below, folks. Until next time, bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.